I never thought when I first started that making soap and bath bombs would eventually give me an income that would match what I was making at a full-time corporate job, but it has.
It's magical when you are close, so get closer, babe. What do you got? 'Cause I am gold, I'm golden.
Hey everyone, today I'm going to be answering that question that so many people seem to have, and that is, can I make money selling soap? Yes, that is your answer, and that's the video. Bye. Now, the short answer is yes, but obviously there's so much more to that. Yes, you can absolutely make money selling soap, but fundamentally it comes down to one thing, and that is a shift in your mindset from a soap hobby to a soap business. There is a very distinct difference between the two. For example, back when I was making soap as a hobby, I was doing a lot of research. I was getting ingredients from soap suppliers in small quantities because I wasn't sure about what I was doing. I was making mistakes. It was taking me a lot of time and a lot of money to make a couple of bars of soap. And I was having fun with it. I was discovering a new skill. It wasn't really that serious, and these bars of soap I either used for myself or gave away to friends and family. After a while, when I started to consistently make good product and people started to tell me, wow, you need to sell this, that's when I started to think, okay, how do I transform my soap hobby into a soap business that makes me profit? So when you start to do this mind shift, that is the first step. There are now two things that you need to do to make that transition complete. The first thing is you need to figure out who you are going to be selling to. You might think to yourself, okay, if I'm gonna sell something, it's best to sell it to everybody. I mean, I cast a wide net, I catch the most fish, correct? Wrong. When it comes to selling anything, actually, the more focused and specific you are about who your customer is, the better your ability will be to actually sell to that person. If you're trying to please too many people and you're being too general, you are going to not hit the mark. So you're trying to shoot arrows at a bullseye, and you're trying to get your dart in the middle of the dartboard. And when you get it right into the middle, you get points that way. That is the same concept when it comes to being focused about who your customer is. You want to be able to get your dart right to that bullseye, and that bullseye is your ideal customer. And you might ask yourself, how do I know who my ideal customer even is? The first question you could even ask yourself is it going to be males or females? Because that is a question that's very legitimate. There are a lot of companies out there that market specifically to men, and they do it really, really well. And if you're not marketing to men and you're marketing to women, you're gonna decide different things in order to talk directly to those women. So once you think about the gender, then you can start thinking about the lifestyle of that ideal customer. Are they vegan? Do they care about sustainable materials? Do I want them to be local? Are they a high-end type of customer that really value luxury goods? Are they more of a Walmart type customer looking for a good deal? These are all questions that you really, really need to think about once you decide that you're going to be selling soap as a business. And once you figure out who that customer is, then you can start thinking about your brand and your logo and your packaging, because all of these things you will need to have that ideal customer in mind in order to talk directly to that person. A really obvious example of this is Lush. They are a huge, huge soap, bath and body company. They really like to speak to people who care about sustainable ingredients, a younger demographic, lots of bright colors, very environmentally conscious type of shopper. And you can see that in their marketing and in their branding and in their packaging. They thought about that all. For my company in particular, I really, really niched down and highlighted on a specific ingredient. And our ideal customer is not only the type of customer that loves to shop local, but loves to support local farmers and local ingredients. We also wanted to speak to a more high-end customer that really appreciated a little bit of luxury, not only for themselves, but as gifts to all of their friends and families. And once I started really niching down and changing the branding and packaging to speak directly to this type of customer, that's when I saw the sales start to explode. And don't be afraid of failure. You might be wondering, okay, I put in all this work and I'm going to throw my dart at that bullseye and it's going to land there. But when you throw it, it doesn't land anywhere. Don't be afraid to change it up, because you are trying to do the job that big corporations hire professionals to do. People that have marketing degrees, people that have business degrees. These people have gone to school and spent tons of money to be professionals in this. And if you're like me, you're going into this completely green. And so you got to give yourself some time to learn. And because you're doing it in an environment that's real world and not in a classroom, you're bound to fail a few times. I've changed my labels hundreds of times. I'm actually still changing them every single day, because it's through that real world experience, it's through the numbers and through your sales that you'll be able to see what works and what doesn't. And you might think to yourself that you have your ideal customer in mind and you might be selling to that ideal customer, but then over time you might think, I don't know if they are my ideal customer, and you might want to shift gears and focus somewhere else. So you have to be super flexible and be okay with that. You got to be okay with failure, and you got to be okay with trying new things all the time. But yes, the first thing you need to start doing is thinking about your ideal customer and focusing on that customer. The next thing you're going to have to do is pricing your products for profit. If you're going into it thinking, you know what, I don't think I want to make that much money. I think I'm just gonna price it super low and just make my costs back, and that's gonna be okay. That is all well and good, but I ask, if that's what you're going to be doing, please don't try to enter into a farmer's market or try to sell stuff on FB Marketplace, because you're actually really hurting our industry if you do that. It's one thing trying to make soap and when you're thinking in a hobby mindset and selling it small time to friends and family, but when you're trying to launch it as a business where you have maybe an Instagram devoted to a company, you have a company name, you've registered your company and all that stuff, but you're pricing it extremely low, you're not only hurting yourself, because it's not easy making soap. It's a lot of manual hard work, but you're also definitely hurting your fellow soapers who are trying to do this full time. You do not want to be entering the marketplace undercutting your fellow soaper. Also, if you start your business off that way, pricing yourself super low, and you start to build momentum and start selling to people more and more, it'll be very hard to raise your prices, because once your volume starts to go up, you're gonna start really wishing you had priced your items higher, because you're gonna find that you're working extremely hard for very little profit. To price your products for profit, you need to figure out how much each ingredient costs by the gram.
So say 3 kilograms of baking soda costs you $6.89, including tax. When you divide the cost by the weight, you get the cost per kilogram, which in this case is $2.30. To get the cost per gram, you would divide the cost per kilogram by 1,000, since there are 1,000 grams in 1 kilo. The number you end up with is 0.0023 cents. In my bath bomb recipe, I use 1,341 grams of baking soda. To get the cost of how much baking soda I use in my recipe, I would multiply the amount I use in my recipe by that number that I got before, so 0.0023, which is $3.80.
So when you do that for all the ingredients in a recipe, then you get an idea of how much it costs you to make a batch of something. And then you would take that cost of how much it makes you to make that batch and divide it by the number of individual units you get. And then once you get that number, that is how much each unit costs you to make. And there are other costs associated with that too on top of that cost. There's the packaging, there's the shipping, there's all the overhead costs as well. So the cost of goods times 4 is just a guideline, and at the end of the day, how much you ultimately decide to charge your customer is up to you. But I definitely advise you to do at least that amount, if not more, because anything less, it'll start to feel like a huge grind and totally not worth your time, because you'll be exhausted, not making very much money at all. If you think about it, your product is handcrafted and unique, and you really need to start charging what you think you're worth, as opposed to just trying to get your product sold and out the door. So after I did all of that, after I focused on my ideal customer and changed my packaging, branding, logo to speak directly to that customer, and then started to think about how much it costs everything to make and pricing it for profit so that I'm able to make back what it costs me and more, that's when I started to see real profit in my business. The last thing that I think is super important is patience and time. Making soap and creating a business out of it is not a get-rich-quick scheme at all. It will take years, a really long time, to start to see a real return on all of this work. And that's not an answer that a lot of people want to hear, but that's just the truth of it. It's really, really difficult to get through those first couple of years of trying to make this as a business, because a lot of the time it feels like you're screaming into the void. Very, very few of us go into this with a marketing background, a social media background, a business background, and all of those skills are so important to making a business successful. So to make up for that, you really need to learn and try different things, because not everything is going to work the first time, second time, third time. I have done markets where it costs me to be there. I faced a lot of rejection in the very beginning of this business. Our first few showings at our farmers markets were dismal. People are not going to want to buy from you right away, and it's gonna be a huge, huge effort to try to keep showing up. And ultimately, that might be the most important thing, is to just keep going, because as soon as you give up, it's over. I like to think of business as planting seeds. Every time I go to a market, every time I make a social media post, every time I make a YouTube video, these are all seeds that I have no idea whether or not it's going to give me a return on that investment in time and money. I don't know. A lot of the seeds that I planted months ago are just now sprouting and starting to give me a really good return on that. As long as you keep showing up and keep trying to evolve and make your business better, if you keep paying attention to your numbers and paying attention to what doesn't work and fixing it, over time, it should start to grow for you. So can a soap business really make you money? Yes, definitely. I never thought when I first started that making soap and bath bombs would eventually give me an income that would match what I was making at a full-time corporate job, but it has, and I'm so thankful for that. So I hope you like this kind of video. If you have any questions about what I just talked about, leave a comment down below. I'm sure there's others thinking and wondering the same thing. So I read every single comment. I answer as many as I can. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you've already subscribed, thank you so much. The number has grown to, last I checked, 830 subscribers. That is crazy. You guys are so awesome for supporting me, and lots of videos, lots of content that I hope will help you grow along with me. So thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.